Hi, I'm Sharon McCartney and I'm on the Orono Town Hall Board. The Orono Town Hall was built in 1898 and it was rebuilt because the first Orono Town Hall was burnt. It was a smaller structure. They built it in a year, which was really phenomenal. It is a very Victorian hall. We have the balcony. At one point in the basement there was a clerk's room where for Clark Township, and then when it became a municipality it's no longer a town office, it's more of just a rental facility now. The Orono Town Hall was used as well. At one point when we had Clark High School, it was used for graduation dances and that sort of thing, and the parents would come and they would sit in the balcony and while the kids were down on the main floor dancing and doing what kids do.
The office that matches this one, which is behind you, was the only sort of original clue as to what the building may have looked like. It was a CIBC bank when Kay bought it, with linoleum floors and a big long counter along here. Up top, there was no railing, but there were two little windows, and there is a back staircase. So we discovered that there was no insulation at all in the building, so we completely stripped it down to bare brick walls. So you're really seeing brand new trim, brand new everything except for that original office. Even to the ceiling, there's that lovely, I call it an asparagus molding, but it's not really. Whatever it is up there, I thought was very special. People came in when we had the opening. People had been to the bank and knew that it was just like this horrible 60s awful thing, and said, "Oh, it looks wonderful now." You know, it's like we didn't do anything to it and they'd been in here forever. Anyway, so that's your story on this building.
So this is the Newcastle Fish Hatchery, started here in 1866 by Samuel Wilmot. And it started here basically as an experimentation program that he was running by himself. And within 2 years he'd attracted the notice of the federal government, and they put him in charge of basically starting hatcheries all over Canada. So he ran some in Quebec, some in Newfoundland, and some here in Ontario, and then in Manitoba as well. And so within 15 years or so, he'd spread out quite widely, and they dealt with salmon, bass, and trout, as well as some other experimentations with other fish. We have several pictures of how the fishery used to look. Unfortunately, there is nothing left on the site of the actual hatchery, although some of the ponds can still be seen, but their retaining walls have eroded or caved into the ponds themselves. On the site, as well as the hatchery, there used to be a natural history museum, and Samuel Wilmot actually took part in the Great Fishery Fair in Paris, I believe, in the late 1800s as well, showing off his new breeding techniques.
I'm Rick Hodges. This is the building my wife and I bought 3.5 years ago. We were looking for a space that I could use for my woodworking studio and that we could live in, and we came across this property, which was an interesting idea. It took us a while, but we worked at the planning department and we got approval to use it. And from there, we got the woodworking shop working, and then we started using some of the space. This space here is a gallery space for basically friends of mine, artists, to explore and experiment.
I'm Grant, this is Gabby. Say hi, Gabby.
Hi.
There you go. We're here representing the Architectural Conservancy of Ontario Clarington branch today. So our branch was set up almost 2 years ago, and the reason was actually specifically around Camp 30. Our goal was to ensure that some of these buildings would be maintained and could be used in the future for community reuse or adaptive reuse, etc. So Gabby actually is a young lady. When the building behind us, which you probably can't see in your video, burned down about 18 months ago, she actually started a petition around saving Camp 30, because the thought at that point in time was, we should get the bulldozer out and just demolish all of these. They're a huge liability. So her petition, created a lot of interest in the community. It was actually, on the internet, reported in the papers. So our goal at the end of the day is to see that several of the buildings on this site are saved, and that there's a proactive effort between the municipal council and the developer to do that. Those conversations are very much underway, which is much better off than where we were 18 months ago. Our understanding at this point in time is the developer has an interest in turning some of the property back to the town, about 40 acres in the center, which includes some of the buildings, and the development would be to the south and the north end of the property. So it's really a conversation with the town as to whether that's the appropriate thing to do.